7 True Scary Corner Store Horror Stories. Story 1, The Night Shift. Part 1. My name is Darius, and I was 22 years old when this happened. I worked the overnight shift at a corner store in rural Mississippi, about 30 miles south of Jackson. It was a Thursday night, 2:45 a.m., and the store had been empty for over an hour. I was restocking the cooler when I heard footsteps, coming from the back storage room that was supposed to be locked. Slow, deliberate footsteps moving toward the door that connected the storage room to the main store. I was supposed to be alone. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because what was hiding in that storage room almost killed me. Part 2. The corner store where I worked was a small building on a quiet highway, serving truckers passing through and locals from the surrounding farms. During the day, we had steady business. At night, things slowed to almost nothing. The overnight shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Most nights, I worked alone. The owner said it was not cost-effective to have 2 employees when we might only see 5 customers the entire shift. I did not mind the solitude. I was a night person, and the quiet hours gave me time to study for my community college classes. That Thursday had been typical. A few customers between 10 and midnight, then nothing. By 2 a.m., I had finished my required tasks and was restocking the beer cooler. The storage room was at the back of the building, accessible through a heavy door that I always kept locked. We stored extra inventory there, cases of beer and soda boxes of chips and snacks. I had checked the room earlier that evening. It was empty, but now I could hear footsteps inside. Part 3. I stopped moving a case of beer still in my hands. The footsteps continued, slow, deliberate, moving toward the door. Hello, someone back there. Silence. I set down the beer and walked toward the storage room door. Through the small window in the door, I could see darkness. The light was off inside. I reached for the door handle. Locked, just like it was supposed to be. But I had heard footsteps. I was certain. I pressed my face against the window, trying to see inside. Movement. A shadow shifting in the darkness. Someone was in there. Part 4. I backed away from the door, my heart pounding. I know someone is in there. I am calling the police. I reached for the phone behind the counter. The storage room door exploded outward. A man burst through the lock, shattered by whatever he had used to break it from inside. He was maybe 40, with wild eyes and a face twisted with rage. He was holding a hunting knife. "You shouldn't have called out," he said. "I was going to wait until you left." "How did you get in there?" "Through the loading dock. Been hiding back there for hours, waiting." He stepped toward me. "I just want the money. Give me what is in the register and I will go." Part 5. I moved toward the register, keeping my eyes on him. "Okay, I will give you everything. Just stay calm." I pressed the button to open the drawer. It beeped and slid open. Maybe $200 inside. "Put it in a bag." I grabbed a plastic bag and started transferring the cash. "That is it. That is everything." He looked at the money, then at me. "That is not enough. Where is the safe?" "There is no safe. The owner picks up the cash every evening. That is all we keep overnight." His expression darkened. "You are lying." "I am not. Check the office yourself. There is no safe." He grabbed my arm and dragged me toward the small office behind the counter. Part 6. The office was barely bigger than a closet. A desk, a chair, some filing cabinets. No safe. He threw open the cabinet, searching frantically. "Where is it? Where do you keep the money?" "I told you, there is no safe. That is all the cash we have." He spun toward me, the knife raised. "Then you are useless to me." I grabbed the fire extinguisher from the wall and swung it at his head. It connected with a solid crack. He stumbled backward, crashing into the desk. I ran. The front door was 30 feet away. I sprinted toward it, not looking back. I heard him behind me, cursing, recovering. I hit the door and burst into the night. Part 7. I ran toward the gas pumps where a trucker was filling up his rig. "Help! Call 911. There is a man with a knife." The trucker grabbed his phone. I looked back at the store. The man was standing in the doorway, watching. The knife was still in his hand, but he was not following. He saw the trucker, saw the phone, calculated his odds. Then he turned and ran around the back of the building. The police arrived within 15 minutes. They searched the area but did not find him. But they found his hiding spot in the storage room. Food wrappers, water bottles. He'd been there for hours. They identified him through fingerprints. His name was Vernon Dale Hutchins, 43 years old, with a history of robbery across 4 states. He was arrested a week later at another convenience store attempting the same approach. Part 8. Vernon Hutchins was convicted of armed robbery and assault. He is serving 12 years in state prison. I quit my job at the corner store the week after his arrest. I could not work overnight shifts anymore. Every sound from the storage room made me freeze. Every shadow seemed threatening. For hours, a man had been hiding in the back of my store, waiting for the right moment. Waiting for me to be alone and distracted. If the trucker had not been at the pumps, if I had not grabbed the fire extinguisher, if I had not run fast enough. I do not like to think about what would have happened. If you work alone at night, please check every space in your building. The storage rooms, the bathrooms, anywhere someone could hide. Because predators are patient, and they are waiting in the darkness. Story 2. The Customer Part 1. My name is Alia, and I was 20 years old when this happened. I worked the evening shift at a corner store in suburban Atlanta, Georgia. It was a Wednesday night, 8:45 p.m., and the store was quiet. A man came in to buy cigarettes. He seemed normal enough. Polite, patient. Nothing alarming. But when I handed him his change, his fingers lingered on my hand a moment too long. His eyes stayed on me as he walked out. And when I looked through the window, he was sitting in his car, watching the store, waiting. Subscribe now and leave a comment, because that man knew where I lived. Part 2. The corner store where I worked was in a busy neighborhood, surrounded by apartment buildings and small businesses. We served a constant stream of customers buying snacks, lottery tickets, and basic groceries. I had been working there for about 8 months. The job was simple enough. Ring up purchases, restock shelves, keep the store clean. Most customers were regulars' faces I recognized from the neighborhood. That Wednesday had been typical. Steady business throughout the day, slowing down as evening approached. Around 8:30, a man I had never seen before walked in. He was maybe 45, with graying hair and a face that seemed completely ordinary. He went straight to the cigarette display behind the counter. Pack of Marlboro Reds. I grabbed the cigarettes and rang him up. That will be $9.53. He handed me a 10. When I gave him his change, his fingers wrapped around mine and held on, just for a second. But it was too long. I pulled my hand back. He smiled. "You have beautiful hands." Part 3. I did not respond. I just waited for him to leave. He took his cigarettes and walked out, but he paused at the door, looking back at me. "See you soon, Aliyah." He knew my name. He had read it from my name tag. I watched him through the window. He walked to a dark sedan parked at the edge of the lot, got in, but he did not drive away. He just sat there, engine off, lights off, watching the store, watching me. I tried to ignore him. I helped other customers, restocked shelves, did anything to keep busy. But every time I looked, he was still there. My shift ended at 9. I was supposed to walk to my car in the lot behind the store. Alone. Part 4. I called my co-worker Terrell, who was supposed to relieve me. "Can you come a few minutes early? There is a guy in the parking lot who is creeping me out." Terrell arrived at 8:55. I told him about the man, about the way he had touched my hand, about how he had been sitting in his car for almost half an hour. Terrell walked outside and approached the sedan. I watched through the window. Terrell knocked on the driver's window. The man rolled it down. They exchanged words. Then Terrell came back inside. He says he is waiting for a friend. Says he will be gone soon. He has been there for 30 minutes. I told him he needs to leave, or I am calling the police. He said he was just going. I looked out the window. The sedan was pulling out of the lot, heading toward the main road. I felt relief wash over me. But as the car passed the window, the man looked directly at me and smiled. Part 5. I walked to my car with Terrell beside me. The parking lot was empty. No sign of the sedan. I drove home checking my mirrors constantly. No one following. I told myself I was overreacting. He was just a creepy customer. It happens sometimes. But when I pulled into my apartment complex, I saw it. The dark sedan, parked across the lot from my building. He had followed me home. I drove past my building without stopping, circling through the complex. The sedan started moving, following me. I pulled out my phone and called 911. "Someone is following me. He was at my work, and now he has followed me to my apartment complex. Can you describe the vehicle? Dark sedan, maybe blue or black. I cannot see the plate. Drive to the nearest police station. Do not stop." Part 6. I drove out of the complex, heading toward the station about 2 miles away. The sedan followed. I accelerated. So did he. I ran a yellow light. He ran the red. The police station was ahead. I could see the lights. I pulled into the lot and jumped out of my car. The sedan slowed as it passed the station. Through the tinted window, I could see him watching me. Then he drove away. Officers took my statement. They pulled cameras from the corner store and my apartment complex. The footage showed him following me from the store. It showed him parked outside my apartment building waiting. They identified him through his license plate. Part 7. His name was Gregory Dean Patterson, 47 years old. He had a history of stalking charges in 3 states, multiple restraining orders, 2 previous convictions. When they searched his car, they found photographs of multiple women, pictures taken at stores, parking lots, apartment complexes. Some of the women in those photographs matched missing person reports. Gregory Patterson was arrested at his home. In his bedroom, they found more photographs, notebooks filled with observations about women he had followed. My name was in one of those notebooks, my work schedule, my car, my apartment address. He had been building a file on me. Part 8. Gregory Patterson was convicted of stalking and harassment. The evidence connected him to 2 missing women, though without bodies, those charges could not be proven. He is serving 15 years in federal prison. I moved to a different apartment after his arrest, changed my job, my routine, my entire life. For one evening, I was just another customer service worker dealing with a creepy customer. I had no idea he would follow me home. I had no idea he was already building a file on my life. If I had gone straight to my apartment, if I had not noticed his car, if I had not called the police, he would have known exactly where to find me. If someone makes you uncomfortable at work, please trust your instincts. Watch for vehicles that follow you. Never lead a stranger to your home, because sometimes the creepy customer is more dangerous than you realize. Story 3. The Parking Lot, Part 1. My name is Marcus, and I was 28 years old when this happened. I stopped at a corner store in rural Louisiana, about an hour outside of New Orleans, during a late-night drive. It was a Friday night, 11:30 p.m., and the store was the only light visible for miles. I went inside for coffee and snacks. When I came out 10 minutes later, a van was parked directly behind my car. White, windowless engine running. And through the windshield, I could see 2 figures watching me. Subscribe now. Because what was waiting in that van almost ended my life. Part 2. The drive from Baton Rouge to New Orleans was only about an hour, but I had left late and needed caffeine. The corner store appeared like a beacon in the darkness, a small building with bright lights and a single gas pump. The kind of place that serves truckers and travelers passing through. The parking lot held maybe 3 cars when I pulled in. I parked near the entrance and went inside. The store was quiet. An elderly man behind the counter, one customer browsing the snack aisle. I grabbed a large coffee and some chips, paid quickly, and headed back out. That is when I saw the van. It was parked directly behind my car, so close I could not back out. White cargo van, no windows on the sides. The engine was running. I could hear the low rumble, and through the windshield I could see 2 people, neither moving, just sitting there, watching me. Part 3. I stopped walking, maybe 30 feet from my car. The positioning was deliberate. If I walked to my car, I would be trapped between my vehicle and the van. I looked around. The parking lot was empty, except for my car and the van. The other vehicles I had seen when I arrived were gone. I pulled out my phone. 911, what is your emergency? I am at a corner store on Highway 61. There's a van blocking my car. 2 people inside. I think they are waiting for me. Officers are being dispatched. Can you get to a safe location? I started backing towards the store entrance. The van's side door slid open. Part 4. A man stepped out. Large, wearing a dark hoodie. He started walking toward me. Hey, hold up. You dropped your wallet back there. I did not stop. I turned and ran for the store. Behind me, I heard running footsteps. The door was 20 feet away. 10. I burst inside. Lock the door, call the police. The elderly clerk looked past me, eyes going wide. The man had stopped about 15 feet from the entrance. He was standing there watching through the glass. Then another man appeared beside him, both of them watching. They are not leaving, I said. The clerk was already on the phone. Part 5. We watched through the window as the two men conferred. Then they walked back toward the van. But they did not leave. They moved the van, parking it at the far end of the lot, engine still running, waiting. "The police are coming," the clerk said. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. In a rural area that was fast. I watched the van, my heart pounding. The minutes crawled by. Then headlights appeared on the highway, a patrol car pulling into the lot. The van's lights came on. It pulled out, heading in the opposite direction, but the officer had seen it. He pursued. Part 6. They caught the van about 3 miles down the highway. Both men were detained. The officer searched the vehicle. What he found made everyone stop talking. Rope, tape, zip ties, a mattress in the back, and photographs. Pictures of people at gas stations and corner stores, license plates, faces, detailed notes about who travelled alone. My photograph was not in the collection. They had just spotted me that night, but others had not been so lucky. Part 7. Their names were Carl Eugene Hobbs and Dennis Wayne Patterson, both in their late 40s. The police connected them to 3 disappearances along rural Louisiana highways over the past 2 years. Travelers who had stopped at isolated stores. People who had never been seen again. 2 bodies were eventually found on property owned by Carl Hobbs. The 3rd victim has never been recovered. Carl Hobbs and Dennis Patterson were convicted of kidnapping and murder. They are on death row in Louisiana. Part 8. I think about that night constantly. The van blocking my car. The man walking toward me. The lie about my wallet. If I had not noticed the van, if I had walked to my car without looking, if I had stopped when he called out, I would be another missing traveller, another body buried on some rural property. I do not stop at isolated stores anymore. When I travel, I choose busy locations. I park where I can see my car. I check the lot before approaching my vehicle. If you ever find a van parked too close to your car, do not approach. Go back inside, call the police, because sometimes the van is not there by accident. Story 4. The Bathroom, Part 1. My name is Terrell, and I was 24 years old when this happened. I stopped at a corner store in suburban Dallas, Texas during my lunch break. It was a Wednesday afternoon around 12:30 p.m., and I needed to use the restroom. The store had a single occupancy bathroom at the back. I pushed open the door and stepped inside. Everything seemed normal at first. Toilet sink paper towel dispenser. Then I noticed the ceiling tile. It was pushed up at the corner, leaving a dark gap, and through that gap I could see something glinting, like a camera lens. Subscribe now and leave a comment, because what I discovered in that bathroom still haunts me. Part 2. The corner store was near my office, a convenient spot I visited almost daily for coffee and snacks. I knew the layout by heart. That Wednesday I had eaten lunch at my desk and needed a bathroom break. The restroom at my office was occupied, so I walked to the corner store. The store was moderately busy with the lunch rush. I nodded to the clerk, who recognized me as a regular, and walked to the back. The bathroom was a single room with a lock on the door. Standard convenience store setup. I pushed open the door and stepped inside. The bathroom was clean, recently updated. New fixtures, fresh paint. I was about to lock the door when I looked up. Part 3. The ceiling was made of drop tiles, white squares in a metal grid. One tile directly above the toilet was crooked, pushed up at the corner, leaving a gap maybe 2 inches wide. And through that gap, something glinted. A lens. Small, dark, unmistakable. A camera. Someone had placed a camera in the ceiling, pointed directly at the toilet. I backed out of the bathroom without using it. I walked straight to the counter. "You need to call the police. There is a camera hidden in your bathroom ceiling." The clerk's face went pale. Part 4. Officers arrived within 20 minutes. They brought a ladder and removed the ceiling tile. What they found confirmed everything. A small wireless camera battery, powered, mounted on a bracket. It was aimed at the toilet, positioned to capture anyone who used the bathroom. The camera was transmitting to a remote device. Someone was watching or recording. They searched the area around the store. In a car parked across the street, they found a man with a laptop. The laptop was displaying the live feed from the bathroom. He had been watching customers use the restroom in real time. Part 5. His name was Eugene Ray Whitfield, 51 years old. He had been doing this for months, maybe years. The camera had been installed during a bathroom renovation. He had posed as a contractor. The police found recordings on his laptop. Hundreds of videos, men, women, children, all filmed without their knowledge. The store owner had no idea. He had hired Whitfield's company to update the bathroom, never suspecting what was really being installed. Eugene Whitfield was charged with voyeurism and possession of illegal recordings. Part 6. The investigation expanded. Police found that Whitfield had installed similar cameras in bathrooms at multiple locations. Gas stations, corner stores, small restaurants, dozens of businesses, thousands of victims. He had been selling the recordings online, part of a network trading in voyeuristic content. Some of the recordings involved children. Eugene Whitfield was convicted on multiple federal charges. He is serving 22 years in prison. Part 7. But the recordings were already out there, shared before his arrest, downloaded by strangers. Most victims would never know. They had used a bathroom assumed privacy and moved on with their lives, never knowing their most private moments had been captured and distributed. The store owner was devastated. He had unknowingly provided the location for a predator. He replaced all the ceiling tiles, installed new fixtures, tried to make amends. But the damage was done. Part 8. I check bathrooms differently now. I look at ceiling tiles. I check for gaps for lenses, for anything that seems out of place. Most people never think about it. They use public restrooms without a second thought, assuming privacy. But privacy is often an illusion. If you use public restrooms, please look up. Check the ceiling tiles. Notice anything crooked or disturbed. Look for small holes or unusual fixtures, because predators are everywhere, and they are counting on you not to look. Story 5. The Regular Part 1. My name is Jasmine, and I was 21 years old when this happened. I worked at a corner store in suburban Memphis, Tennessee. It was a Saturday evening, 6:15 p.m., and the store was busy with weekend customers. A man I had never seen before came in and bought a soda. Nothing unusual, but he came back the next day, and the next. For 3 weeks, he came in every single day, always buying something small, always watching me while I worked. Then one day he handed me a note with my home address written on it. Subscribe now. because that man knew everything about me. Part 2. The corner store where I worked was in a busy neighborhood, serving a constant stream of regulars. I had noticed the man about 3 weeks earlier. He started coming in every day, always around the same time. He always bought something small. A soda, a candy bar, a pack of gum. Just enough to justify standing at the counter talking to me. At first, I thought nothing of it. We had lots of regulars. But he was different. He asked questions that felt too personal. Where did I go to school? Did I live nearby? Did I have a boyfriend? He remembered every answer. He would reference things I had said days earlier. And he watched me. Not just when we talked, but constantly. His eyes followed me as I worked. Then came that Saturday. Part 3. He came in at his usual time, bought his usual soda. But when he handed me the money, there was something else. A folded piece of paper. I opened it. My home address, written in neat handwriting. I looked up at him. He was smiling. I know where you live, Jasmine. I have been watching. I know your schedule. I know your car. I know which window is your bedroom. I backed away from the counter. Get out. Now. We are meant to be together. I just wanted you to know that I am serious. I'm calling the police. Go ahead. I have not done anything illegal yet. He turned and walked out calm as could be. Part 4. I called the police immediately. They took my statement, took the note as evidence. Has he threatened you directly? He told me he knows my schedule, my car, my bedroom window. How is that not a threat? We will increase patrols near your address, but without a direct threat of violence, there is not much we can do. I went home that night terrified. I checked every lock. I closed every curtain. I barely slept. The next day, I found a flower on my car windshield. No note, just a single red rose. He had been at my apartment. Part 5, I installed cameras. I changed my schedule. I never walked alone, but I could feel him watching. Sometimes I would see his car parked down the street. Sometimes I would feel eyes on me at work, though I could never spot him. Then one night I came home to find my front door unlocked. I had locked it. I was certain. I called the police from the hallway. They searched my apartment. He had been inside. My underwear drawer had been opened. Items were missing. And on my pillow he had left another note. Soon. Part 6. They identified him through fingerprints. His name was Harold Eugene Simmons, 46 years old. He had a history of stalking charges across 3 states, multiple restraining orders. 2 women who'd accused him had later disappeared. The police found him at a motel 20 miles away. In his room, they found photographs of me, hundreds of them. At work, at home, walking to my car. Some were taken through my windows. He had been documenting my entire life. Part 7. Harold Simmons was charged with stalking, breaking, and entering and harassment. The evidence connected him to the 2 missing women from his past. Though without bodies, those charges could not be proven. He was convicted and sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. The judge said he was a clear danger to society. But 18 years is not forever. Part 8. I moved to a different state after his conviction. I could not stay in that apartment. I could not work at that store. Every time I saw a man watching me, I panicked. For 3 weeks, he'd been coming into my store every day, building a file on my life, learning everything about me. And I had no idea until he handed me that note. If someone at your workplace makes you uncomfortable, Please trust your instincts. Document their behavior. Tell your manager. Tell the police. Because sometimes the regular customer is not just a regular customer. Sometimes they are planning something terrible. Story 6. The Robbery Part 1. My name is Deshawn, and I was 23 years old when this happened. I worked the closing shift at a corner store in suburban Houston, Texas. It was a Monday night, 10:45 p.m., and the store was about to close. I was alone behind the counter when 3 men walked in. They were wearing masks, and they were carrying guns. They did not say a word. They just pointed their weapons at my face and started walking toward the register. Subscribe now and leave a comment, because what happened in the next 5 minutes almost cost me my life. Part 2. The corner store where I worked was in a quiet neighborhood, but crime had been increasing lately. Break-ins, car thefts, robberies at nearby businesses. The owner had installed cameras and a panic button, but he refused to hire security. Too expensive, he said. That Monday I was working alone. Closing shift 10 to 11, usually uneventful. By 10:30, the store was empty. I was preparing to close, counting down the register. At 10:45, the door chimed. 3 men walked in, all wearing ski masks, all carrying handguns. They spread out, 1 covering the door, 2 approaching the counter. No words, just weapons pointed at my face. Part 3. I raised my hands slowly. I will give you everything, just stay calm. One of them gestured with his gun. I opened the register. Put it in a bag, all of it. I grabbed a plastic bag and started transferring the cash. Maybe $400. That is everything in the register. The safe. I do not have the combination. He stepped closer, pressing the gun against my forehead. Wrong answer. Part 4. I am telling the truth. Only the owner has the combination. I cannot open it. He looked at his partners. Some silent communication passed between them. Then you are coming with us. What? You heard me. You are insurance until the owner opens that safe. They were going to kidnap me, use me as leverage. My hand moved toward the panic button under the counter. Do not even think about it. He had seen the movement. Hands where I can see them, now. Part 5. They marched me toward the door. One of them grabbed my arm, pulling me toward a van parked outside. White, windowless. This was it. If I got in that van, I was dead. The door to the store was still open. The panic button was under the counter. I had one chance. I threw my elbow back, catching the man holding me in the face. He stumbled. I ran. Not toward the counter. Toward the back of the store, toward the emergency exit. Gunshots. The display beside me exploded. I hit the door and burst into the alley. Part 6. I ran. The alley was dark, but I knew it from taking out trash. I knew where it led. Behind me, footsteps. They were following. More gunshots. Bullets pinging off the dumpster beside me. The end of the alley was ahead. The main street with traffic and witnesses. I ran faster than I had ever run in my life. I burst onto the street and flagged down a passing car. Help, call 911. They have guns. The driver saw my face, saw the terror, and grabbed her phone. The men had stopped at the alley entrance. They saw the car, saw the phone. They turned and ran back toward their van. Part 7. The police caught them within an hour. The van had been reported stolen. The guns were traced to multiple robberies. Their names were Warren Douglas Hutchins, Dennis Ray Patterson, and Carl Eugene Hobbs, all in their 30s and 40s, all with extensive criminal records. They had robbed 6 other stores in the past 3 months. In 2 of those robberies, employees had been shot. 1 had died. I was lucky. The panic button would not have saved me. Running was the only option that worked. Part 8. All 3 were convicted of armed robbery and attempted kidnapping. Given their history, they received lengthy sentences. I quit my job at the corner store the next day. I could not stand behind that counter anymore. Every time the door chimed, I tensed. Every customer who walked in might be hiding a gun. For 5 minutes, I had been face to face with men who had killed before. The only thing that saved me was the decision to run. If I had gotten in that van, if I had not thrown that elbow, if I had frozen, I do not like to think about what would have happened. If you work at a store that keeps cash, please have a plan. Know where the exits are. Know when to comply and when to run. Because sometimes running is the only thing that will save you. Story 7. The Storage Room. Part 1. My name is Marcus, and I was 22 years old when this happened. I worked at a corner store in suburban Phoenix, Arizona. It was a Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m., and I was doing inventory in the storage room at the back of the building. The room was cramped, lined with shelves stacked with boxes. I was counting cases of beer when I heard breathing, coming from behind a tall stack of boxes in the corner. Slow, controlled breathing. Someone was hiding in our storage room, and they had been there all day. Subscribe now and leave a comment below, because what I found back there almost killed me. Part 2. The corner store where I worked was a busy location, serving a constant stream of customers from the surrounding neighborhood. The storage room was at the back of the building, accessible through a heavy door that we kept unlocked during business hours. We went in and out, constantly restocking shelves. That Wednesday, my manager had asked me to do a full inventory count before closing. It would take about an hour, maybe longer. I started around 9, working my way through the shelves with a clipboard and a flashlight. The storage room was not well lit. A single bulb in the center, leaving the corners in shadow. I was counting cases of beer in the back corner when I heard it. Breathing. Part 3. I froze, my flashlight pointed at the floor. The breathing was coming from behind a stack of boxes. Tall boxes stacked almost to the ceiling, creating a hidden space I could not see into. Hello, someone back there. Silence. Then the breathing resumed. Faster now. Nervous. I backed toward the door, keeping my flashlight pointed at the corner. I know someone is there. Come out now. Movement. The boxes shifted slightly. A man emerged. He was maybe 45, thin and dirty, with wild eyes that reflected my flashlight beam. I was just sleeping. I did not mean any harm. How did you get in here? Through the delivery door. This morning, when the truck came, no one noticed. He'd been hiding in our storage room all day. Part 4. I kept backing toward the door, maintaining distance. You need to leave. Right now. I know. I will go. Just let me get my bag. He turned toward the corner where he'd been hiding. What bag? My belongings. He bent down, reaching behind the boxes. When he stood up, he was holding a knife. I changed my mind. I think I will stay a little longer. Part 5. He stepped toward me, blocking my path to the door. Where is the safe? There is no safe, just the register. Then we'll go to the register. He grabbed my arm and pushed me toward the door. We walked through the store. My co-worker Terrell was at the counter helping a customer. The man pressed the knife against my back. Act natural. Tell him to open the register and put the money in a bag. I walked toward the counter, the blade cold against my spine. Terrell looked up, saw my face, saw something wrong. His eyes flicked to the panic button. I shook my head slightly. The man with the knife did not notice. Part 6. Terrell, I need you to open the register and put all the money in a bag. Terrell's eyes went wide. He saw the man behind me, now saw the hand pressed against my back. Okay. He opened the register and started transferring cash. The customer at the counter was backing towards the door, confused and scared. The man with the knife was focused on the money. His grip on my arm loosened slightly. I drove my elbow backward, catching him in the ribs. He stumbled. The knife sliced my arm, but did not strike deep. Terrell vaulted over the counter and tackled him. The customer ran outside, already calling 911. Part 7. The police arrived within 5 minutes. The man was still on the ground. Terrell pinning him down. His name was Vernon Dale Crosby. 47 years old, homeless, with a history of assault and robbery. He had discovered that our delivery door did not lock properly. He had been using our storage room as a shelter for weeks, hiding during the day, leaving at night. That night he had decided to stop just hiding. Vernon Crosby was convicted of armed robbery and assault. He is serving 8 years in state prison. Part 8. I quit my job at the corner store the week after his arrest. I could not walk into that storage room anymore. Every time I passed those boxes, I imagined him hiding behind them, waiting. For weeks, a man had been living in the back of our store, sleeping there while we worked, watching us through gaps in the boxes, and none of us knew. If you work somewhere with storage areas or back rooms, please check them regularly. Look for signs that someone has been there. Fix any locks that do not work properly, because predators find places to hide, and they are watching, waiting, planning. The end. If these stories scared you, leave a comment below and tell me which one was the most terrifying. And remember, the next time you stop at a corner store, pay attention to your surroundings. Check the bathroom before you use it. Watch for vehicles parked too close to yours. And if you work there, check every space in your building, because you never know who might be hiding, watching, waiting for the moment when you are alone.